Season 5 Bone Spear enjoyers rejoice. It is back and stronger than ever because they buffed the Deathless Visage and other items. We do now have the chance for Bone Spear projectiles to cast twice on the helmet. With a two-handed weapon, you're able to bring this up to 100%. And we're getting 7 ranks to Bone Spear. Holy moly. This ties super well together with Locrin's Talisman, maximum resource, a chunk of critical strike damage, then we're getting up to 40% critical strike chance from the amulet, can actually focus on other stats on other items, and on top of this, the more resource we have above 100, and we're sitting at least around 250 resource, we get another critical strike damage multiplier. And we want to have as much critical strike damage multiplied up, as this is directly affecting our Deathless Visage. Now there's 2 versions of this to play. You can play the full two-handed weapon, put on the aspect of the Great Feast, 90% damage multiplier on top of everything that Bone Spear already does, and you only have to solve your essence issue with simple essence per second on your items. Could not be easier. Otherwise, there is the Litless Wall, and they juice that up quite a lot too, to make it better versus boss fights by adding a little bit of Bone Storm duration, just in case you're unable to create more Bone Storms with the Litless Wall, and it just lasts longer. It does also have 3 ranks to Bone Skills, and 3 ranks to Bone Skills is 21% damage multiplicative bonus on the Bone Spear. So it's not that much of a detriment to actually wield a one-handed and a shield over a two-handed weapon. Obviously, the two-handed weapon will be the maximum damage boost, but if you feel like you can't survive the Infernal Hordes very well, or if you're not getting into the rhythm and just want to feel safer, that is a very good option. I'll present you the maximum damage blaster though. First, let's start with the skills. And most important here is maximum ranks in Bone Spear. I only have 14 out of 5, I say only. But there could be way more on my gloves right now, so I'm missing another 2 ranks there. And obviously, master working the helmet correct, because that can go for up to plus 10 ranks if you're hitting the 25% nicely. Do you want to juice up the unliving energy and the imperfectly balanced? We are making corpses, even though our corpse interaction is minimal with the corpse explosion. We only use this to trigger Fueled by Death every 6 seconds. Just boop, explode 1 corpse, get a bit of bonus damage. And versus bosses, you can explode 5 corpses for the 40% bonus damage multiplier. We don't do anything bonus with Blood Mist, as we don't need the corpses, the cooldown reduction, the bonus crit chance. Then we're getting the damage reduction, as things will come close to us in the Infernal Hordes. We do have the barrier, but bonus damage reduction never hurts with a more multiplier. Now we do have not a single bonus point in corpse tendrils, neither do we need the slow, as Decrepify does that for us, nor do we need the play corpse tendrils, since that is just, well, vulnerable that we already apply with the Bone Spear, easy as cake. Now we do need 1 rank in Necrotic Carrier Pace, as we're making corpses for the Fortify. The bonus critical strike chance of Serration ain't needed, as we have more than enough, but you do want Compound Fracture, Evulsion, and also Rapid Ossification to actually cooldown reduce the Bone Storm and always be able to put it back up. Damage reduction with bonus sacrifice bonuses, Bone Storm juiced out, and then the Ossified Essence as the highest multiplier possible, as you're always going to be casting with maximum essence. We do sacrifice the Skirmishers for the critical strike chance. We're fully resistance out without going for this. The mages are currently going out for essence regeneration. If you do manage to get enough essence per second and resource generation on your rings and everything, you can actually then go over to the bonus multiplicative damage versus vulnerable targets. Last but not least, the Golem for the critical strike damage. For gear, we get the two-handed weapon. I'm currently using a scythe because I'm interestingly enough actually using resource generation as you're wielding a scythe, which is a bit more potent than the standard resource generation. I just needed a bit more, and I only had a scythe with maximum life, critical strike damage tempers, and then chance for Bone Spear projectiles to cast twice with not hitting the masterwork, not the 25%. I'm currently sitting around 80% chance to cast it twice, but if you get the 25% at least once, you're getting very close to the 100%. Preferable, you will want to have a sword here, and on the weapon itself, we have the aspect of the Great Feast for 90% 20% damage multiplier, which does drain us 7 essence, but we get this under control because we have boots with essence per second, and right now that would be 6 corpse tendril size and movement speed, maximum life and intelligence. We're doing the lucky hit chance to daze. You could go for the aspect of metamorphosis on this one, but I do like me that 20% damage multiplier. Pants are supplying us with a lucky hit chance to freeze, as we have a good lucky hit chance, the Bone Storm maximum life barrier with a 6%, and then also maximum life armor. And in this case, I get resistance to all elements because there is nothing else to really get on this. Gloves are giving us bonus core skills, preferable Bone Spear, critical strike chance if you don't have enough yet, preferable also attack speed over maximum life. Then again, a lucky hit chance to stun, freeze, and critical strike damage tempers. And currently, for some reason, I did actually do all the footage in the background with Skeletal Priest Empower Your Warriors. Great. Which means I've been actually missing out on a 40% damage multiplier, because what we would go for is the aspect of Serration to get even more damage as we have more essence, and we're always full of essence. On the chest, you want essence per second and hardened bones for the damage reduction, max life intelligence, and max life tempers, plus lucky a chance to stun or freeze. You don't want slow because slow is not useful as we're decrepifying slow. Then the Deathless Visage as the absolute crowning masterpiece. The Bone Spear echoes that are left behind do so much more damage if you have a two-handed weapon. Again, with a one-handed weapon, you might be safer, but the two-handed weapon really nicely juices up the damage. We are playing Locrin's Amulet for the great critical strike damage multiplier. Max Resort, all stats. It kind of has a little bit of everything and it feels quite nice. That being said, if you do have a normal amulet, Corpse Tendrils aspect on it, which kind of does the same as Locrin's does, giving you also bonus critical strike chance and a damage multiplier. Plus, you can get ranks into Avulsion, which will multiply your damage versus vulnerable targets. On the range, you want crit chance and attack speed. That's the most important things. Then crit damage tempers. And currently, I'm using resource generation while wielding a scythe because my only good weapon in the stash I had was a scythe. Normally, you would take standard resource generation. That being said, this is way higher. Normal resource generation is 12.5. Scythe resource generation is 17.5. Goes obviously a tad higher as you master work it up. Then we'll have our Bone Spear Splinters make things vulnerable as well as it explodes and pierces things from behind. So we got the perfect vulnerable machine going on. Last but not least, the masterpiece. Critical strikes with bone skills increase your essence regeneration by 170%. That's incredible. I get +6 and +6 on my gear. That's alone +12. I think I have 5 or 7 standard. That's 19. And times the whole thing times 170%. You're flying up like there's no tomorrow. And this is really needed because as much as you're juicing up attack speed, you're going to be essentially ending up not being always full of resource because you're attacking just simply too fast. That is avoided by just getting enough resource generation in. Do not try to get too much resource cost reduction on your items because then your actual Bone Spear costs less and you don't have the resource spent to get the cooldown of Bone Storm lower in the two-handed build over the one-handed build. And the Paragon Board is plenty amazing as we're using 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different glyphs going crazy. First one would be Amplify for the bonus damage versus cursed targets multiplier. Then we're picking up the Max Essence in the Bone Graft board and juice up our critical strikes quite significant with a big multiplier and get the max life. Right side for the Flesh Eater. As you're fighting bosses, consume some corpses. The more attack speed you have, the faster you can consume corpses because every corpse consumption skill works twice as fast. They have a double scaling for attack speed with attack speed. Putting on the Gravekeeper as we're not interacting that much with corpses, but we make a lot for the 18% multiplier. Into Scent of Death for the damage reduction, plus then Sacrificial as we don't have any minions, getting another damage multiplier with more life. into then the left side from the Bone Graft board with a Bloodbath for our vulnerable damage multiplier again, into the Blood Baguettes board with even more maximum life. The Blood Orb healing is inconsequential, but we're getting the Control Glyph here for a bonus of 20%. Lastly, then going into the Wither board, yes, and we sadly have to pick up the Shadow Damage int node here, as we just want to have Corporal going on with another 10% physical damage multiplier. And yes, Corporal is not really doing anything here, but there is also no better position for it. There's nowhere else where we could have put it in to juice up things a bit more. I mean, maybe we could remove the Essence Glyph to kind of try to Dexterity activate something here that the Corporal would boost at least our bone damage a wee bit, but yeah, like this is the most point efficient way to essentially go with it. Ladies and gentlemen, Bone Spear Field's plenty fun and fine. Uber Lilith, Tormented bosses, and yes, also the Infernal Horde 7 are possible. That being said, for the Infernal Horde 7, we're looking at 8 times Masterwork gear, so having farmed the 5 quite a significant amount to really feel good about it. Bone Spirit nukes a bit better there. That's just a fact. And also the Bone Splinter Super Explosion build might be a bit nicer, but we do like Bone Spear. We do enjoy playing Bone Spear, and it does work very well. How are you feeling? Are you going to give it a try, or you're rather interested in said Bone Splinter build, which we do have to fine tune a lot as I come back home, since we finally have some more gear to actually put into it, some more masterworking materials. Have a fantastic day. Thank you for watching, and have a good time.